Hey guys, what's going on? Ty from Breaker Culture, and this is Crazy Card Charts number 3 here on the Bench Clear Media Network. Today we break down a few charts that I'm seeing in the NBA world, both from Prizm Silvers, graded silvers, and we look at the volume from the 2012 release all the way up to 1920. We look at the gaps between the releases and some of the things that I'm seeing between the products. We also look at the dichotomy between PSA and BGS, and something that I find very fascinating right now. Something I think it definitely spawns some different conversations around kind of where grading is going and what we should be seeing. And then I show you a couple news stories around the backlog of PSA, and I show you a data point that I think really demonstrates where we're going with grading, and it kind of shows us how important and how popular grading has become. So I think you'll be interested in that. All right. So really curious to know what you think as you're watching the video. Be sure to post your comments below. Let me know what your reaction is to the data, and of course be sure to subscribe. All right. Thanks so much for watching, and enjoy the content. All right, guys. All right, so let's break down 2012 to 2019-20 Prizm cards. Let's look at this from the angle of volume first. And this is looking at, again, BGS and PSA graded cards, and this is looking at volume here. 18-19 is fascinating, right? You have 450 cards sold versus 19-20, 330 cards sold. 17-18 is down here at 220, and then you got the rest of the releases. 13-14's got 70 cards sold. And you think, okay, well, that kind of makes sense, right? 18-19's got the premier rookies like the Michael Porter Jr., the Luka Doncic, and there's more graded out in the wild versus 19-20. So you think, okay, well, there's probably more revenue being generated from 18-19, right? Makes sense, especially with that type of gap. Well, let me show you something. Here's the cumulative revenue for that same time period. 19-20 has $230,000 in sales. Mind-blowing. 18-19 is all the way down there at $160,000 in sales. And then 13-14 is right behind it. And then 17-18 way down here, $80,000 in sales. And you think, wow, what the heck, right? Well, obviously you got Zion Williamson, who's got all the buzz, and he's getting crazy prices. You still have, Kobe White and John Morant and all those guys that are doing well too. But it does strike me as interesting when you see that gap and you think, okay, there's only, there's considerably less cards being sold, but the price per card is much higher right now. And there's excitement and all that good stuff around it, so you kind of get it. But I thought, let's look at a different metric. Let's look at what it costs to buy a case of Prizm and divide that into what they're generating in sales over the last 7 weeks, okay? So if I look at a case of 19-20, you're looking at $13,700, and you think, what the heck? It's that expensive already? And yeah, it is. But when you see it in terms of everybody's, all the other releases, it kind of puts things in perspective, right? 18-19 is going for 20 grand a case. 13-14 is at $65,000 a case, right? Yeah, that's not a typo. $65,000 a case. 17-18 is at $9,000 a case. These are blowout prices, by the way, as of today. So I thought, okay, let's divide this number into this number, and let's get ourselves a rollover metric, and we can kind of see it, relatively speaking, what that looks like. And so 16.5x the time of the multiplier of the cost of a case into this revenue generation for 19-20. 18-19, you're looking at a 8x multiplier. 13-14, a 2.3x multiplier, because there's really only one or two players in that release that are selling for anything. And then 17-18 is a 9x multiplier. So I see that and I think, okay, here's a couple takeaways. One, This is probably underpriced. I can't believe I'm saying that, right? This is probably underpriced because you look at what 18-19 is going for. You look at the multiplier now. You think of the buzz, the excitement. You got the season starting. Like, I would not be surprised if this is a $20,000 case in the next three to 6 months. This also could mean that these are a little bit overpriced. Now, when I look at these three here, I think, man, the value to me is 17-18. $9 grand a case. You have Jason Tatum heating up. You got a lot of interest behind him. You have, De'Aaron Fox. You have, still got people pumping Lonzo Ball. So you have some hype around 17, 18, and it is climbing over here. You can see a pretty good trajectory along the other releases too. But I'd be more apt to look at maybe investing in a 17, 18 case and product versus maybe 18, 19, although I am a sucker for Luka Doncic and a Michael Porter Jr. right now. But anyway, food for thought. I'd love to know what you think about that data. So let's look at this from another angle, right? This is, again, basketball cards since March 1st. BGS versus PSA total sales in terms of percentage. And I thought this was fascinating, right? Because the gap is as wide as it's ever been in terms of the number of cards sold that week, in terms of percentage overall, right? So 76% of graded basketball cards this week were PSA 10 versus 23% for BGS 9.5. Back in mid-April when the COVID was very, very relevant in terms of the economy and shutdowns, BGS climb, PSA drop, and a lot of that was because they weren't pumping out the cards. BGS stayed open a little bit longer, got their cards out, they were turning around stuff quicker. And I was a big advocate of saying, look, this is probably going to continue closing. It did not continue closing. It widened again. Started to climb back here a little bit, and then it's basically since mid-May climbed. It's grew farther and farther apart. To me, that says one thing. One, PSA is finally getting their stuff in order, right? They're getting cards out. But also, I think there's an opportunity here probably because of BGS 9.5 becoming less relevant. This is an opportunity to go buy 9.5s at a discounted price because price does reflect here and when you're looking at kind of popularity and overall interest. All right, so that's food for thought. There you can see here's the narrowest it's been, and these are the two widest margins that we've seen. So opportunity likely on BGS 9.5s. Now, this brings me to another point that I want to show you, and I'll flip over here to the Daily Hobby, great aggregated news site. Top news there was a PSA has 1 million cards in back order. You look at this, they had a price hike a couple weeks ago. It kind of went unnoticed. 100 or more cards went from 9 to 10. 50 or more cards went from 12 to 15. Just a 25% price increase, and it went, like he said here, it went kind of unnoticed. But President, Steve Sloan said that, this is a temporary increase, which I do not believe when you have that type of backlog of 1 million cards. PSA's backlog is 1 million cards. I cannot believe that. It is mind-blowing to think about that much. In May, PSA's orders increased by 188%. We're in the wrong industry, right? You want to be here grading cards. But it hit home to me last week when I was trying to go buy my cardboard gold card saver ones, these bad boys right here, and I got them 5 weeks ago for $21 for 200, and now you can't even get them. They're sold out, backordered all over on Amazon. I thought, gosh darn it. So I'm thinking, okay, I'll go to Blowout, I'll go to Steel City, I'll go to DA Card World, and guess what? They're all sold out, all backordered. I go to eBay and I look at this, $50, $60, $68 for 200. You're literally looking at a 2.5, 3x increase. It just blows my mind. This is a representation of what's going on in the card hobby. There's a mad rush to grade cards. So I thought that was very fascinating to look at. Quick little tidbit alternative here. Go to Steel City or anywhere else that sells these. There's a 3x4 Ultra Pro semi-rigid card holders are a great replacement for the cardboard gold saver ones. $340 for a case of 2,000. That's a great price. I bought myself one yesterday. But anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you think about the data and have yourself a great week. See ya.